I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we're in the zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good song in my feet. Feel that hot breath in my body when it drops. Oh, I can't take my eyes above it. Moving so phenomenally. You gon' like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting too close. When one move, yeah, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving, so stay dance. I am also flying, it I on. Flying up no sea light on. Flying in a sea light on. Flying turn it on. Also flying, it I on. Flying up no sea light on. Flying in a sea light on. Flying turn it on. All things I shouldn't do. Dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving, so keep dancing. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we're in the zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, that good song in my feet. Feel that hot breath in my body when it drops. Oh, I can't take my eyes above it. Moving so phenomenally. You gon' like the way we rock it, so don't stop. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. You're creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. Ain't nobody leaving, so stay dancing. Flying also flying, it I on. Flying up no sea light on. Flying in a sea light on. Flying turn it on. Also flying, it I on. Flying up no sea light on. Flying in a sea light on. Flying turn it on. All those things I shouldn't do.
Listen, everyone, before the show gets started, I want to first let you know that you can always support the show via CashApp, Zelle, PayPal. All financial contributions are greatly appreciated, and we really do thank you so much. Now sit back and let's enjoy.
I just gonna sneak on it.
I'm gonna pull it out. You can go in my room if you want to right now. I love you. Good night.
I want to sleep with you.
You can.
Yay.
You scared?
Yeah.
You can. Were you supposed to take that with food?
But yeah.
You are?
I don't medicine have to take with food.
Okay, we're going over there. You know what you're supposed to do. However you normally take it, that's what I want you to do.
Remember, we just ate. So.
Well, then you should be good. What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm gonna let a few people get on here before I start talking. What's up, Estelle and LaShonda? I want to talk about something, y'all, before I go to bed tonight. Before I lay down to sleep, I want to say something. There's a picture. Hey, y'all. I want to talk about what's done in the dark will always come to the light. That's what I want to talk about before I go to bed. So I don't want to be on here long. I have a few people. I don't want to hold anybody up. Hey, Tasha. What's up? What's up, y'all? I want to talk about Bree. Y'all, my niece over here slurping on this cup while I'm trying to do my live. Yeah, there is some things I have on my heart I just want to say before tomorrow. Like, this is something actually has been on my heart to say all week long. All week long. There's no surprise. There's no secrets anymore as far as personal things that I have encountered, things I'm going through, or whatever. So, yeah, here I am. I'm an open book. I am here because there are some people that I have been friends with, people that I have been cool with, associates. One in particular I want to address. His name in particular, I'm going to call his name out because what he did was, he's the main reason I'm doing this video, actually. I went to church with a guy named, and if y'all know him, I hope this video is actually going to be public, so it is public, so hopefully he'll see this. And his name is David Thomas. Used to be Brother David Thomas. I think that's it. David Thomas, Brother David Thomas. But this particular guy, and I'm sure it's plenty of others, but I'm addressing this one in particular because I know him personally. I used to go to church with him. Used to go to IBOC with him. So he knows me pretty good. I used to do his wife's hair. So I feel like, you know, when you know somebody, you would expect for them to, if they have something to say, you would expect them to come to you because they know how to get in touch with you. But he chose not to. He chose to get this picture of me with Rickie Rush, and then another sister is on this picture. So he made this post and had these arrows pointing this picture. I wish I had that picture. I guess I'll post it in this video. I posted it in the comments, so you know, later you can look at it. I honestly don't care to look at it, but since I'm out here wide open, all exposed, some things I just have to say. Some things I just have to address. This picture, it shows a picture of me in an IBOC t-shirt, because I used to go to IBOC. And I'm on this picture. The lady in front of me is a mutual friend of mine as well as Rickie Rush's. She was both of our dentists, but she's still, I'm sure, probably, I don't know what any of the people at IBOC are doing anymore because I don't go there and I hadn't kept up with it, what's going on there. But my arm is around his neck or his shoulder, his back or whatever, and his hand is in his pocket. And so the whole post, the purpose of this post, I'm really not sure what the purpose of it is, but there was a gentleman, his name I won't mention. I don't know if he would want me to mention his name, but he inboxed me along with several other people that, but this guy in particular that inboxed me, I wanted to, I liked his approach. So he made me understand that, you know, sister, on this particular picture, what these people are saying is that your story contradicts itself, because here you are out here saying that Rickie Rush abused you, and here you go, you're actually on a picture with somebody that you claim or allege abused you. And here you are, you're wearing an IBOC t-shirt, so you stayed at a church where a man abused you. And so I listened to what he had to say because I already, you know, I could follow where he was going. And I've seen a lot of questions, I've seen a lot of comments, and even on this guy David Thomas's post, it's some females that are on there that I actually know personally, you know, and they're on there like, yeah, call her out, because call a spade, and y'all can actually go on his post now and look at it. It's a picture. I actually went on his post and I kindly asked him, David Thomas, will you please take that picture down of me? Because I really don't, that picture now stands for something that I never thought that I would have to address it standing for. That picture of me that I, with a man now that I have to acknowledge that I've actually had trouble saying this man was my abuser, but he is. Thing is, y'all know, the ones that have read the Dallas Morning News know my story pretty much. And if you don't know it, I'll tell you, because some of you may see this video and you're like, what's she talking about? Well, I was 16 years old. I was at Skyline High School, and I had been in this man's class who was my teacher at the time, Rickie Rush. And I was in his class, and the year that I got pregnant, which was my junior year, this man was very close. I was very close to this man. Somebody that I went to, he'd give me passes to come to his class and look out for me, because at that time, you know, it was not popular for me to be pregnant, especially when, you know, the dad just at that time, my son's dad at this time is very active in his life. But at that particular time, it was hard on him because he was embarrassed and ashamed to have gotten someone pregnant in high school. And so, you know, he was just not claiming my son, you know, and he ran for many years. So, but to this very day, he's very present in his son's life. You know, when you're kids, you do things that you're not proud of and you don't understand, and you try to cover things up, you know. And his thing was that he was ashamed that he had gotten somebody pregnant. So he was ashamed, and of course soon he had to acknowledge that it's his son because he looks just like him. And so that was really tough on him, and I hated to have to share, you know, such a very sensitive situation, because that hurt him. You know, it hurt my son's father that I had to share his ugliness while explaining my ugliness, and I didn't want to do that, you know. And so, sorry y'all, this is not one of those fun videos. I have a lot of fun with y'all most of the time, you know, laughing and joking about a lot of stuff. But this particular situation is very close to home, and because it's not old. It's something that I'm actually still having to process. So it's because I know some people were even like, why bring up something that happened almost 30 years ago? Well, I didn't want to bring it up. Actually, I was fine with it covered up many years. Like I said, I was in his class at 16, and when he took advantage of me that day, he asked me to forgive him, and I did. I was 16. I was scared. I was already pregnant, and I just wanted to forgive him. I didn't want to hold that against him. I didn't want to, you know, the things he would do to me. I just wanted to forgive him because I was a preacher's kid, and my parents, we I learned about forgiveness. If somebody asks you to forgive them, then you forgive them. You don't hold them to it. So I chose at the time to not hold him to that. So today I regret it. I regret that. I regret that decision. Because I thought it was something that happened, and you know, we would never have to address that again. It's crazy how things come back up. So, you know, of course, I'm gonna forgive you, and I trust him. I trusted him. I had always respected him, and I felt like he knew what was best for us. Because he was grown. I wasn't in love with him. I was in love with my son's father. At the time, I was wanting my son's father. At the time, I wasn't attracted to this man. I just respected him. And I just didn't want to have to deal with more pressure than I was already dealing with being pregnant already in high school, being a teen mom at that time. You know, at that time that you had to go to health. At that time, you didn't get to go to, you know, they had changed it my school year that we didn't have to be at health. We could stay at our regular school, and I was happy about that, but it still didn't make things easy for me in high school. You know, some of those memories and feelings, you know, they come back up and bring tears to my eyes or whatever. I'm good tonight. It's just, you know, when you're having to address some things, sometimes you're going to have some emotions to come up, and uncomfortable emotions. And so I felt like I wanted to talk about this picture because I've been asked, you know, and especially by members that still go to IBOC, you know, like, how did you stayed at the church? Yeah, at the time I was 16. He didn't have a church until, well, that year I think it was. He was starting the church. He was starting the church that year that I was pregnant, I believe, because after that happened, he was basically took me under his wing and looked out for me. You know, made sure that he even control the friends that I had. Hey, this is gonna be your friend. This can't be your friend. And my friends I'm still friends with them to this day. So they can attest to this. He chose my friends, and he always chose my friends. I mean, this is just how it's been for me. I never saw it as a bad thing. I felt like he was looking out for me, right? So that's how I stayed at the church. The church was just getting started, and as soon as I had my son, he was like, you know, come to the church. So I came to the church, joined the church. It's cold in my house, y'all. Bree, can you come turn the air off? I'm cold. But yeah, so I stayed at the church, and I was one of the very first members to join the church. And So that's how I stayed at the church, okay?
Where's the empty?
Huh?
The empty.
It's on this wall. No, right there. You see it?
That one?
No, baby. Come in, come here. Come here. This one right here, where the couch is. Where the couch is. There. Yeah. Push that little button on the far right. Push it in the center. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, push that in the center for me. But so yeah, so that's how I stayed at the church. I stayed at the church and I joined the choir eventually. You know, I wasn't in the first choir. I even got out of church. You know, when you're a teenager, I was in church, out of church. My parents, I've been asked, I've seen some of your comments asking, well, where were your parents? How did this happen? Where were your parents? So when I got pregnant, my dad was a preacher when I got pregnant. And it was embarrassing for them to have to tell the church that their daughter was pregnant because we were the leaders of the church. My dad has always told me, you're a leader and you gotta, you know, they're tough on you and you gotta be this certain way and you can't make mistakes when you're a preacher's kid. You don't get to make mistakes. You don't get to have like a normal life. So you don't get to have a normal life when you're a preacher's kid. You have to do things the right way, you know. Because everybody expects for you to like they think preachers' lives, you know, are Jesus all the time. But anyways, so it was tough. My daddy stopped going to church. The day that my daddy found out I was pregnant, my daddy did not go back to church. And my dad turned to the streets. And my dad's life has not been the same since then. So, my dad is I love my dad, but he's still out there in the streets. So yeah, so that's where my parents were, my mom and dad. Their marriage, after that, their marriage was disrupted, and they eventually divorced. And so I didn't have a dad that was there. My parents were not talking to me when I was pregnant. They didn't talk to me the entire time that I was pregnant. They did not talk to me. Like, nobody talked to me except for my older brother. My older brother, he talked to me, and you know, and my sister, she would talk to me, but she didn't live with us at that time. So yeah, so that's where my parents were. People have asked, where were your parents? How did that happen? Your parents. So yeah, my parents were not available. They were not around. Rickie Rush became like everything to me. He was daddy. He was he took care of me, you know, bought my maternity clothes, had my baby shower, you know, and that wasn't because I asked for it. It's just now I look at it, I'm like, damn, this nigga was probably doing all of this because he was trying to keep me quiet the whole time. You know, I'm thinking he's doing it because he's looking out for me, he loves me, he cares for me, but he was probably doing that, you know. Just think of someone that has intercourse with that is an adult. We ain't talking about no 19, 20 something like you. You a full 30-year-old man and you have intercourse with a 16-year-old girl without her permission. You're gonna be nice to her because you know that if she tell that you could get in a lot of trouble. Well, I didn't want him to get in trouble. I didn't. Because he was really all I had in high school. So I agreed to keep our secret. And that's the way it always was for me. So me going to church was just me going to church. He asked me, he said, you need to stay in church. So I stayed in church. And then I eventually, you know, being a little stubborn, I gotten another boyfriend my senior year. Well, later, actually my junior year, I met my first husband, which is Seven's dad. I met him and then got a little rebellious or whatever. Anyways, I'm not gonna tell my whole story, but I was asked a few things, and so I wanted to address those things. So that's how I stayed at the church. That's how I decided to not speak about it. And that's why when, you know, these church members are saying he was your abuser, I never saw him as my abuser. I didn't know that he was my abuser, and I had never said those words until I was an adult. This is how crazy that, like, you know, I've had guys trying to talk to me. Y'all know y'all done tried to holler at me in my inbox. I'm always making these jokes about guys trying to talk to me, and I ain't talking to nobody. And I've been purposely not dating anybody, not going out, you know, leave the whole dating scene, guy thing, you know, put that to the side because I know that I have things that I'm dealing with. And I knew this was going to come out. I knew this story was going to come out, right? I knew that I was going to have to talk publicly about this, and I didn't want a guy to be a part of my life. I didn't want a man to be a part of my mess. I didn't want that for the next guy that I choose to be with. And I'm choosing to be single because I'm choosing to give myself time to heal and process through all of this shit that I'm having to deal with in my mirror. You know, dealing with the man in the mirror. I'm dealing with the woman in the mirror. So this picture, yes, the sexual relationship between this man and I, Rickie Rush, and myself continued through my adult years. So my counselor have talked to me about grooming. Yeah, these are terms that I never even talked about or knew, honestly, about predators. You know, you know about that stuff, but I ain't never thought that he was no predator. I thought I was the only one that happened to. I didn't know that. Like, now that I'm speaking out, all these other people have all these stories. It's creepy as fuck. Oh my God, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Because somebody that you had respected for so long, and that I know I personally was like, don't worry about that. Let's just keep it moving. Forgive, keep moving. Life goes on. I got married at the church. We weren't sexually active during the time I was married. I wasn't with him. It started back up though after that marriage, and continued for many years after that. So in between my marriages, I've only been in real relationships with my 2 husbands and with Rickie Rush. So I had to say, you know, I'm a damn side chick. You know, that's a whole side chick. You know, when this man was married, and Christian knows me. Christian grew up with my kids, and I did not. It's funny how he kept me so close, but still so distant from Beverly, his wife. I think about that because when Chris came to get her hair done, you know, he'd drop her off. It was always him. It wasn't her, it was him. So I got a chance to be around her in passing, but not really around her like that. But about this picture, okay, that's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk too much about these other things, because it's just too much, but about this picture. So David Thomas, this guy, and I ain't gonna lie, I want to go so hard on this man, because y'all know I can be petty. Those of you who follow me on Facebook, you know I can be so petty. I debate, and I got a little mouth on me, but I'm sweet. You know, but you know, he definitely made me want to say some things to him. But you know, I'm a lady, so I'm gonna handle this situation very ladylike. I asked him on his page to take this picture down because this picture now represents what I've learned in 2018, y'all. In 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. Y'all know I've had these dates and stuff were a little off for me because I went through a very crazy divorce, had to go through all of that bullshit, and then turn around on this side, you know, I have all these different things. So I've had several things happening in my life, in my world, just this whirlwind of things happening that, you know, so these dates and all this kind of stuff, I don't know. I just know that when I read on Facebook one day, my sister and we reconnected at a family function. And I had long gone from IBOC because I had remarried and divorced. So I reconnected with my sister during the time I was going through my separation of my previous marriage. And so she didn't trust me because she didn't know if I was still at church. She didn't know things. So anyways, we reconnect, and boom. I look at Facebook and I see her Facebook post. And she's telling her story about what Rickie Rush did to her. And this was when we were on Buckner. She was, and a lot of the members remember, a lot of the members of IBOC remember this story. If you were on Buckner, you remember this story. Because Rickie Rush told us all that my sister kidnapped Christian. And I know you remember it because so many of you have been coming to me saying, Donna, now it all makes sense. Donna, wow. Well, it makes sense to me. How y'all think I felt when I saw and read my sister's Facebook post? Because I had not talked to her since it had been 20 plus years. Because he lied to me and told me that I don't care, Maurier. I just saw Maurier's comment talking about even though you be dead wrong in your debates, whatever. Thank you for that laugh. Yeah, we didn't talk for 20 some odd years because this man told me that my sister kidnapped Christian. And at the time that happened, no lies, my sister was tripping like when we were on Buckner. And so what happened between my sister and Rush, that happened while I was living in Atlanta. After high school, my mom and dad, they were going through their things. And so my mom split and moved to Atlanta. And when she moved to Atlanta, eventually I found my mom. Yes, found my mom because my mom was missing. And I ended up finding her. She invited me to come stay down there. So I moved to Atlanta. And then all this stuff was going on here with my sister and Rush that I didn't know of, okay? So that was going on. So when I get back to Dallas, because I moved back to Dallas, and when I moved back to Dallas, not long after I moved back, I was in the neighborhood, go to the store, and boom, honk, honk, somebody honks at me. It's Rush. So I go over and talk. Hey, you need to come back to the church. Da 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 da. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the church. So my sister's at the church. She's going full-fledged, and I was so proud of my sister for getting all involved in church. I'm like, wow. So anyway, she was different. This time apart from her, she was different. Heavily into church, heavily involved. She was in the choir, and I felt like I missed out on so much. She had all these new church friends, and by us growing up in church, we were proud. I was proud she was in church. So yeah, Bria. But I was proud she was in church. So I end up, started going to church a little bit. Got out of church, got to doing my little thing because I was, I just got out of church or whatever. When you're young, you do whatever. Well, got pregnant with 7. And when I got pregnant with 7, I almost died. I went into a coma 4 days after immediately during my labor delivery. I almost died having 7, ended up in a coma. And who's at my bedside when, during this time, Rush is there. Of course, when I come out of the coma, he's really, really, calls, hey, you got to get back in church, da-da-da. So that coma, woke me up. I'm like, oh, my God. I've been out of church, and this is the reason, those whole church things where people will have you feeling like, if you don't do this for God gonna strike you dead, all those kind of things. So I was scared. I got my butt back in church. And when I say I got in church, I was like, boom, I'm talking about, after I recovered from the coma and all that, I made myself go to church, and I was like, the sister Donna that y'all saw me at IBOC, yeah, her, that was me. Read my word, ministering to people, all those different things. I'm in there. I was proud to be back in God's house, and and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, I had even told my son's father at the time, if we gonna be together, you gonna have to stay and get in church and da-da-da. So he ended up coming to church too. So we grew up and raised our kids there. I grew up and I raised the boys there because, I felt like, hey, I better get back in church. And Rush told me, he was like, hey, you got to get in church. And I was comfortable at the church. I was learning so much, about God's word. And so it was fun to go to church. The church I grew up in, it was not fun going to church. It was boring. But at IBOC, it was fun. And, the choir and the people, the love that you felt. Oh, my God, it was just everything. So that's why I raised my kids there. That's why, and my family there. So, and nothing was going on. I felt like he was really my pastor, and I didn't have to worry about all the past. That past was gone, you know, at that time. But like I said, as my marriage was troubled, then, you know, that marriage ended and things started back up with he and I. And when I left Seven's dad, it was really hard. I knew that Seven was going to have a hard time. And when I left Seven's dad, for those reasons, Seven just started to act out. And so, because Rush came to me and he said, since you are, you know, you're going through this divorce and you're going to need companionship and you're going to need a lot of things. Divorce is hard. Divorce is tough. And you know, and he stepped in and he said, you know, I've got the boys. I'm going to help you with the boys, you know, and y'all are going to be okay. And so I was like, okay. So, so that's where Seven comes in with all of this. That's where the changes came with 7-Up when it's probably about 10, 11 years old. Steven and Seven are, I love my sons. They are totally opposite. You know, Seven was the little church boy growing up, where when I say Seven, everybody knew Seven. He was preaching. He was little. He was a little bitty kid. He didn't seem like he could, you know, he was going to grow too much. He was tiny, like Rush. And so Rush took Seven under his wing. He would even have him standing up at the church behind the pulpit preaching, you know, like, you know, just doing little stuff. 7-Up, you know, quoting the word. And Seven was always saying things that were so powerful. So Rush would always just say how much he reminded him of himself. And he would always, you know, Seven would win oratorical contests, and just a smart kid. He was just always doing all kinds of stuff. Steven was always joking and playing and, you know, quiet, kind of reserved or whatever. And so, but Seven would always find his way in Rush's office. You know, he would, and I was just proud to know that my son, you know, had somebody there in his life that, you know, eventually when he and his dad and I broke up, I was happy to know that my son had somebody that would be positive role model, a positive person. And so, so Seven started changing, and he did not like Rickie Rush. What happened? Why, Seven? What's going on? Why are you acting out? You know, my thoughts are, just because I've left your dad, you know, you got to get it together. You know, I tried like everything to make sure that me and Marcus would still be friends, you know, to try to keep our home or keep our relationship cordial during our divorce so it wouldn't weigh down on the kids. But divorce is tough. So, Seven was changing. My baby was going from like making good grades, now he's not making good grades, acting out, And so anyways, all I'll say about that is that I now know and understand that that Seven was acting out. Because let me say this, because Jade had brought out on the radio. I don't remember the broadcast. I really, because I've done some other talks since then. But Lady Jade had made mention. She's like, Donna, this could have been like in between the broadcast, maybe not on air. And she's like, Donna, and you know, I gotta talk to you. I gotta talk to you because you know the culture of IBOC. When parents have problems with their kids, you know that the parents will take their kids to pastor, and for a pastor to discipline those kids or whatever. And I said, yeah, you're right. Because the one time that I know I gave permission for the boys to be paddled, I was there sitting outside the office. I don't know what they did, but I remember sitting outside the office. Well, I was actually in the office, and he had been talking to them about whatever, and he told me, he said, can you go sit outside the office? And I had told him he could paddle them. I remember that. You know, I was for, like, the years I grew up in school, you know, you had the principals paddling the students. You know, to paddle a kid is one thing. So, you know, it's one thing to paddle a kid. But what I learned over time, what I learned when me and my sister reconnected, that there wasn't just paddling going on when those doors were closed. And this is why I'm speaking out today, because I just know what I learned, what I've learned. Now, I can't say certain things, okay, so I'm being careful. But what I learned, because I've talked to many, many kids now that saw things happen with my son, as well as things that they experienced on their own. They, when that door is closed, not parents around, you know, I've been told, one of my son, not long ago, a couple of days ago, was like, Mama, sometimes he just pulled me in the office and paddled me. You know, these were because my son went to school there, or during a summer camp, or during like a prayer posse. This is over the years. He just pulled me in the office and paddled me. And I'm like, paddle? What do you mean paddle? Let's talk this paddle thing out. Because all these kids are saying paddle. And what I've learned was that this paddling is not just paddling. It's a difference in paddling and beating. Right? A paddle is pop, pop, pop. A beating that I've heard these kids say, and these kids witness happen to my kids, both kids, but mainly this one, 7. We talking 20, 30, and 40 paddlings, hits, and sometimes on a naked ass. Okay? You think I knew this motherfucker was paddling my kid? Without his pants on? Without his pants on? I'm not gonna say everything that my son went through, but what I'm saying is that my son, I didn't know, okay? I did not know. And I just want these parents at IBOC to know, you might not care, but I do, okay? I would have cared had I known that my son, he didn't hide his bruises. He just thought I didn't care to know. Both of them. They just thought, well, we go to the church and you take us to the church, so whatever, you like him, so whatever he says it's a green light. Hell the fuck no. Hell the fuck no. Hell the fuck no. That had I known then what I know now, because my kids did not talk to me, okay? They didn't talk to me because they thought it was normal. They thought it was normal because I'm a parent. I'm going to the church praising, and this man, I'm close to him. Close. I was too close. I was close like I wasn't supposed to be close. And one girl inboxed me and she's like cussing me out and talking about, how I participated. Okay. That's cool. If you want to say I participated because I was grown, I'll accept that. Okay? See, the thing about me is that nobody can check me like I check me. Nobody can be harder on Donna than I can be hard on myself. I'm the hardest person on myself. My friends be telling me like, it's okay, because I'm hard on myself. I've been like that because that's what it's always been like being a preacher's kid. You be hard on yourself, right? But the thing is, I want these parents at IBOC to know what's really going on in case they don't know. But if you know and you're okay with a pastor beating your son, beating your daughter, some of the stories I'm hearing, handcuffing these babies, literally getting handcuffs and cuffing their wrist to their motherfucking ankles and beating them. Like, this is unreal, like the stories that I'm hearing. And it ain't one, it ain't two. It didn't just happen to mine. It happened to lots of kids that are talking. This was normal to them. And I asked them, why you didn't tell your mom? What I'm going to tell y'all, because my mama, we was going to the church. Ugh. Every time I hear a kid talk and say the same thing, they all say the same thing. They all feel like it was normal. Oh, he just paddled us. And I asked them, what was a paddling? Describe the paddling. And when they describing this paddling, it's not a regular paddling. And now with my son, with 7, there was a time frame where 7 got in trouble at school where he had to do some service or whatever through the school. Like if he didn't do this, it wasn't a boot camp. It was something like a boot camp. I don't know if it's community service. I can't remember. Probably community service, but he didn't complete his. This was, excuse me, he was a little older by now. He didn't complete his boot camp. And he was gonna get kicked out of school. And I went to Mr. Fix-It because he fixed everything. All I have to do is ask him. Like, some people are like, you speak it out because the money ran out. It ain't ever been money for me. See, I'm a hairstylist, first of all. I've been doing hair for 26 years. 25, 26 years. We always have money. Money is not an issue for us. Seven got in trouble. I called Rush, went up to the church. Okay, went up to the church and told him, hey, Seven is about to get kicked out of school. Showed him the little document, little paperwork. He was like, okay, hold on. He got on the phone. He called Judge Jones Court. Judge Jones Court on Polk, his friend. Hey, you got Marcus Bell on your list for whatever, hey, he's gonna be with me. Don't penalize him for whatever. He's gonna be with me. I'm gonna put him in my boot camp. Hey, that's what happened. That's what happened. He started Rush's boot camp, and I asked Rush, what will this consist of? What is this boot camp consisting of? He told me that what they would do is that he would have them working at the church. Okay. Working at the church. I've seen the boys working at the church. I like to see men work. I wanted my boys to work. So, okay, that's going to be great. Work at the church. He said that he would also have him go into his home to work in his, he has some animals. So he's going to go there and work and clean, up after the animals and do a little labor, Okay, that's fine. And he's going to spend some time with him, talking to him and, just getting in his head, seeing where he is. That divorce thing has hit him hard and yada, yada, yada. But see, by now, 7-Up did not like him. He did not like him. So, but Rush made that go away for 7. So, 7 started his boot camp. And so, unfortunately, 7 started his boot camp. And so that's how more abuse happened during this time that I wasn't aware of, because my son didn't tell me. My son was getting, my son at that time, he was gangs. He was little, but he had a name for himself on the streets. That whole neighborhood, that officers, they all knew him. He was doing a lot of things, a lot of trouble, and drugs and a lot of stuff. And I just felt so lost. I felt like I had lost him. And he'd even tried to fight me one day. He even tried to fight me. And my son can fight. So when he tried to fight, I can fight too. Let me say that again. I can fight too. I don't want to fight. I'm 46 years old, but I can fight too. I don't know why people think just because you love the Lord that they think they can handle you certain types of way. I guess because I've let things pass and And I'll let things pass. I'm not saying I'm fixing to start fighting. Y'all stop. But I just want to say that I do know how to handle my own in the event that I need to. So you know, I've had some threats. I've had some threats. I've had some threats because people are angry that I've decided to take this stand and say these things about their preacher. And I cannot get mad at them. I don't get mad because you know what? I was them. I blindly trusted that man too. So I can't get upset with them. But Bria. But I had to address this picture. I done took y'all all around the block, but this picture, this man, David Thomas, y'all look him up. David Thomas, ugly ass. I'm so sorry, but stayed in my face. He stayed in my face. Married. He stayed in my face, always clowning. Not on no trying to holler, okay? But just stayed in my face. So, in my opinion, if you stayed in my face, you knew me. Then if you feel some type of way about what I'm coming out saying, then come to my face and say what the fuck you gotta say, right? Like, excuse my French, but I'm just keeping it real. This situation is very touchy, very sensitive. So, my mouth get potty, my mouth get potty. It is what it is. But I'm just saying, if you got something to say, here I am, like I'm live. Let me read through these comments so that I can help you guys. You know, if you have something you want to ask, I'm here. Ain't nobody running. I'm not running. My thing is, I just want people to know my experience because I blindly trusted this man from the time I was 16 years old. I did. I blindly trusted him. I thought I was the only one. I forgave what he did, and I continued to be around him, and unfortunately left this door open for this man to abuse my son. Abuse my sister. Because I didn't say nothing. Had I said something when I was 16, damn, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But here I am having to go all the way back over my life, air my dirty laundry, let everybody know that and he called me goddaughter at the church. Everybody knew me as like his daughter. He calls a lot of people daughter, but you wasn't all going to his house. All y'all weren't keeping his child. Okay? He wasn't doing, to do things for somebody, but to stop everything, stop what you doing for Donna, that's how it was for me. Every time I call, pick the phone up, he's going to answer the phone and he's going to do whatever I ask him to do because I'm not a needy woman. So I'm not going to always call begging. I don't beg. When I got on my feet after high school, I had my own money. Okay? I didn't need him. He just did it. He just gave. Where's the wife? The wife was always there. She knows me. She's very much aware of me. She knows that this situation is true. And what I really think is that I would not doubt if Beverly speaks out. She knows a lot. She's seen a lot. She's said a lot. The thing is, he's hushed her up. And the people at IBOC that are in leadership, they know. They know exactly what I'm talking about. She don't have blinders on. But see, what he does as a manipulator is he will demonize you. He'll demonize you. And there's a way, people that, if you were in leadership, it's many of us that have gone through that. I didn't per se go through that. Let me tell you what happened when I left the church. So when I left the church, my poor, I can't even say poor, but my previous ex went through some hell because it was hard for me to leave the church. Very hard. It's hard because when you're in leadership, anyways, I can't even just say that was just me, but you try to leave that church and you're in leadership, he's going to, for the most part, try to demonize you if you've been there a while. And it's sad. But what he did with me, I'll never forget this. I have to tell this story. So I had gone back to IBOC. This was the very last time that I was at IBOC. One of the choir members, who was a dear friend of mine, died. And so I went back to IBOC. And before I left IBOC, I did not give, I didn't make an official goodbye to the choir. Mind you, I'd been there forever. And I did not come out, hey, y'all, I'm going to be gone or any of that. I didn't do anything like that. I just dipped out. I dipped out because he was like, let me just put it this way. He was acting like, what I can say this now, okay, because you know my business, but like an angry, bitter ex-boyfriend that don't want to let go. Like he was doing too much. Okay, so and I was, mind you, in a new relationship, in a new marriage, and I had not told my previous ex all of the details. At that time, I had not told him what had gone on between Rush and I from high school or whatever. Mind you, that was going to be a secret I was going to take to my grave. Nobody ever need to know that. You know why? Because I don't get no credit. I don't get no credit to have slept with him. Look at him. Like, oh my God, that was not an attraction situation. That was not, because I have some guys that's in my inbox now that kind of look like him, and I don't know if you think that because that happened with me and him that that's giving you some kind of hope. Like, I need that to be shut down, because no, it was nothing like that. There was no attraction. There was no, this is somebody that I just had been with in high school, and it was just something. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out, okay? Anyways, I don't know how I end up saying all of that. What was I saying? The way he tried to demonize me one time. Went back for Terry Woodard's funeral. Dear friend. And went back for her funeral. And we were singing in the choir. The choir was singing at the funeral, and really, really wonderful service. And what he did, he stopped and he said he wanted us to, he made an announcement. He said, if you've ever sung in the choir, because I was sitting there on the front, and he's like, if you've ever sung in the choir before and you're with us, because it was a bunch of us that had been in the choir, we were there. So he welcomed us to come and sing with the present choir. And so we get up there and we just singing. Oh, it was a wonderful funeral, wonderful service, wonderful homegoing celebration for her. And having a good time. Service ends. Everybody go their separate ways. And I wanted to go up to the choir room and see my people, because I hadn't been there in a while because I got married and moved on or whatever. And so I wanted to go to the choir room. So I go up to the choir room, get up in the choir room, and the choir's back there. And I went over to him, hey, how's it going? And for the first time in my entire life, how are you, sister? Sister? He had never called me sister. I always called me Donna. And man never called me sister. But that day, because people, I ain't there no more. I'm not a member anymore. So I'm sister. So I looked, I was like, hey, and I just went on, I sat down. And when I sat down, everybody on the choir, we settled down. He did this speech. And that was the one thing I did not like that day. Because when he did this, what he did was he had made in the sanctuary before everybody left the funeral, he had said, you know, the service was wonderful and all this kind of stuff. And he, you know, thanked everybody and God bless you and bless the family and whatever. That was in front of everybody. But then behind the scenes, when we were in the choir room, he got in there and he just ran that whole service down. He ran the whole service down, and he talked about how there were people up there that he allowed to sing that did not mean us any good, and it was crazy. I just sat there and watched him because, of course, by then I was on to certain manipulation and different things that he would do, you know, but I still had love for him, and I didn't hold that against him at that time. It was just like, oh, why is he in here doing this? But he's doing this long speech saying these different things, and so he finished. He's like, okay, y'all, we're going to go ahead and leave. And I was like, wait a minute, I want to say something. I want to tell let me stand up. So I stood up, and I just said, I wanted to officially tell everybody bye. And so he cuts me off while I'm talking. He was like, excuse me, Sister Donna. I want to ask you something. And everybody in the choir room, they're there. They remember this day. He's like, I want to ask you something. Why is it? This is him trying to demonize me, y'all. He's like, why is it when people leave the church, they talk so bad about the church? He asked me this question, like, why are you asking me this question? So I looked at him. Everybody's waiting on me to respond. And so I said, well, Pastor, since we're being, we're using these names, titles now. Let's go ahead and use these titles. I said, well, Pastor, I don't know why people talk about this church negatively when they leave. I said, you need to ask somebody that does that. Somebody that talks about the church negatively when they leave. Because me, I don't do that. I don't do that. I said, the only mess that I've ever heard about the church, you told me. And so I said, there's people, Donna, now he want to joke about it. Donna, you so crazy, I ain't talking about that. Now you want to play because, see, you did not know that I could hop there. Because, see, mind you, before that day, I'd always played myself down and I noticed things and I wouldn't say anything unless I was just talking to him. I was the one to where at the church, he and I would talk if I saw something I didn't like. Like, for example, he would allow me and my little clique of friends, he'd allow us to leave and he'd have us to go, hey, y'all go ahead and leave church and y'all go and go find, he pay for us a place where we're going to eat at that after church that day. Y'all go ahead and leave early. So he let us leave early while the rest of the choir has to stay there for service. And, and they have their kids and their kids been there all day. So I didn't like stuff like that. I'm more of an all-inclusive type person. So even though I'm the pick or one of the picks, I didn't know I was a pick until after I had learned, after you leave and then people say, oh yeah, you was one of his picks. I never knew I was a pick. But, so I was a pick. But I didn't like that he allowed those of us he chose to let leave. But all these other parents are stuck there with their kids to have to be there all, both of those services. I didn't like that. So I would say, why everybody else don't get to leave? You know, that's not fair that we get to leave and go eat. They shouldn't have to, you know, stay there like that. And so he eventually started letting the whole choir leave, you know, and not just a few of us leave, you know. So I always thought of myself as being a real friend to him because I would say what was on my heart. And like when I would try to stop, you know, the I don't know, I'm getting tangled up. Some stuff I don't want to say. I don't have to say everything, but anyways, back to this day. So I'm telling him, you know, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know anything messy about the church except for the things you told me. Because I know a lot of y'all's business that go to IBOC. I know a whole lot of things I should not know because he shared those things with me. And I could easily say some things, but, you know, I look at some of them that are commenting on some of these posts saying things, and I know things about them that they don't know that I know. And I know it because he told me, you know. I never cared about it, but it's just things that he would, if you dealing with somebody, you know, there's things that they're going to tell you. So I know some stuff. Okay. And I wouldn't dare blast nobody's business like that. But some of y'all, if y'all keep coming for me, there are some things I might just do to you, say to you rather, that could hurt your feelings, because you might think that don't nobody know, but I know some stuff. So anyways, I said that to him, and he just made that into a whole joke. Oh, Donna, he wanted to make light of it because he did not think. And I said, no, let me just say this, Pastor, because you brought that up, that people are messy, but there are people in this choir room that have been messy. And I was looking at the different ones that I know had been messy. I said that had come to me with some mess, and I had to check them about their mess. I could give you their names if you want me to give them. Donna, that was him. So the thing about it is, when I left that day, you know, I got on that phone and I called him and I said, don't you ever try to demonize me and put me in a position to make it seem as if I'm messy, because I was very loyal to that church. This is when I came out in 2018 on my Facebook page and I said Rickie Rush abused me and my son. That's all I said. I didn't say how he abused my son. Y'all said a bunch of stuff. All I said was Rickie Rush abused me and my son. I needed to say that because that was the very first time I had ever said the word abuse with this man's name. Never called him my abuser because I never saw him as an abuser. But years of counseling, my counselor, I don't mind putting y'all in my business. Yeah, I'm still doing lots of counseling because it's something about when somebody grooms you a certain way. It's really crazy when they groom you to think a certain way and to behave a certain way. And it's normal for you and you don't get it. I was in counseling for a long time. I was in marriage counseling with my previous marriage. I think every marriage needs to always go to marriage counseling and always keep a marriage counselor present in your marriage. I think it's just a blessing to have somebody that you and your husband can go to and talk to. And I'm not going to be telling y'all what to do, but I just think that's something good. Anyways, in my previous marriage, we were in a marriage counseling session. And during this session, and this was, I had, before this session, I had admitted to my previous that Rush and I shared the details, you know, with him as far as the sexual part of the relationship. I called it a sexual relationship. And so, of course, that was something that we needed to talk about in marriage counseling. I was not involved with Rush while I was in my marriage, either marriage, as a matter of fact. But I I ended up, my last experience with him was, I want to say 2000 and maybe 2007 or something like that, 2006. So, you know, that around that time. But anyways, I was in marriage counseling, and my marriage counselor, we, you know, talking to us, and she says, you know, I just made mention that, yeah, well, I mean, I had a sexual relationship with him since I was 16. And she said, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, Donna, what? I said, and so I'm sitting there, I was like, well, you know, she said, you were having a sexual relationship. She said, is he married? Because she didn't know him. And so I was like, yes, he's married, you know. And she said, Donna, you are saying that you had a sexual relationship with your teacher at 16 years old? And I said, yes, ma'am. And so, and she was like, sweetheart, she said, I'm sorry, but you do not, that was not a sexual relationship. That was your abuser. And I was like, no, he didn't abuse me. It wasn't anything like that. We had, you know, I didn't want sex, but we had sex, but he didn't hurt me or nothing like that. He didn't hold me down. And she said, sweetheart, no. You don't get to consent to sex at 16 years old. And so I was getting irritated with her because I felt like she was making me this victim. And I'm like, I'm not a victim. You know, I'm not a victim of abuse or nothing. The way you're saying that, that's not me. And she's like, you are that. And it was crazy because I was upset with her that day. I remember being upset. She said, Donna, she said, I want you to take some time. And she gave me a homework, so I'm not going to get into all those details. But it was that day that she said that, and I was so irritated with her for calling him my abuser and making me out to be a victim. So after that, you know, went through kept going to counseling. I still do counsel with the same counselor. And, you know, and I love my counselor. She is everything. She's good. But went through counseling. And so time goes by. Goes by. In 2018 or somewhere in there, I see my sister post this post on Facebook. And she says, all these things Rush did to her. And I had to talk to my sister. So I finally connected with my sister. When I finally connected with her, and she began to tell me these, tell me these things, you know, in her post. And I'm like, he did this to you, he did this to you, and I'm losing it, talking to her. I'm like, oh my God, because I had never heard her side of the story. I had not ever heard her side because she never told me before when she left IBOC. When he told me she kidnapped Christian, he told me that she was infatuated with him and stalking him and doing really weird things, and had grown really uncomfortably close to him while I was out of town. And he had been wanting to tell me this, but he didn't feel like he could because he didn't want to make, you know, he knows how much I love her. And he just felt like because she had been raped and that he had been counseling with her, that she had took to him. So these are the things he told me. And my sister and I both, the way Rush started talking to us, he told us that his mother had been murdered and raped when he was 10 years old. He told me this when I was 16 years old in his class. And he had said that his mother had been raped and murdered right there in front of him. So when he told me that made me, you know, feel a connection with him. Like I can tell him anything. Like this man, and he said he worked for the Rape Crisis Center. It's crazy, you know. I don't know. He said he worked for the Rape Crisis Center, and that was all a lie. I just found this out when y'all found it out, when the news story came out that his mother was never even murdered. And it's just crazy. his mother died of liver disease or something like that. That was a natural cause or something. She wasn't murdered and she wasn't raped. So anyways, I had talked to my sister, and when I found out from my sister what happened to her, she eventually told me things that happened with my son that I didn't know of, that she had heard and she knew. And so since 2018, guys, I've learned a lot of different things. I'm still learning a lot of different things every day. Unfortunately, I'm learning a lot of things that happened, and I've been told that, you know, just go sue him and get some money. And all I can say about that is no amount of money can fix 20 some odd years of a lie, being away from my sister, who I love dearly. No amount of money can fix the things that I'm learning that my son experienced at the hands of this man. No amount of money can fix the stories after stories of these babies that are coming and telling me their stories about things that they've gone through. And I'm having to realize that if I would have just closed that door and not hid that secret, that so many people's lives wouldn't be damaged. And I feel personally responsible for these things that I'm hearing. I feel responsible, so I feel like I have to talk and I have to take a stand, and I want him to take a seat while this investigation is going on. I don't want him to be able to be around anybody else, because when I see kids, like, I'm so protective of kids. Like, I love kids. I have this love for kids that's just, I'm a granny now. And grannies love kids. This granny loves kids. And just hearing about any kid hurting, you know, I'm just saying, like, I just want the kids to be okay. I want the parents to know and hear from my mouth. I want y'all to hear from Sister Donna. You say, y'all remember me. Y'all remember me. I'm still her. I haven't been to church in a while. It's hard for me to go to church in a church building because of things that I know happened, that I did at church, that things that I was a part of at church. Church doesn't have the same representation. The building just don't. So I enjoy church from the outside, and I go to virtual service. But I feel personally responsible, and I want these parents to know that you need to know what could possibly have already happened to your child. What could possibly be happening to your child now. I wasn't getting beaten and sexually abused. I was just getting sexually abused. A lot of these kids are getting beaten and sexually abused. Beaten, some like, on some real, like, what do you call it? Like when you get initiated into a gang, when you're trying to get into like a sorority or fraternity group, like a lot of these kids are going through some hazing type situations, like, and it's crazy. And these things really happen because, like, when we were in high school at Skyline, I remember us having lock-ins with him. No other teachers or anybody would be around. It would just be us with him, you know? And he was talking to us. We'd sit there and he would pour into us. It was like good. These were good things that we did at these lock-ins. There was nobody getting jacked up, beat up, and nothing like that was happening. So when I grow up and I allow my kids to be around him, I'm thinking it's going to be like, you know, the things that happened when I was in his lock-ins. I didn't know that there were going to be hazing and abuse and stuff like that happening. So that's this story. I see Bryce sharing. Yeah, this is just this church. We don't know how many other churches. I don't know. I mean, I know that there's many people that have been abused. And it's getting late. I'm fixing to go to sleep. I just wanted to talk, and before I went to bed, I had to get this off of me. I feel like I really felt compelled to share, but just people getting abused, like in the black community, we don't like talking about it. It's like, he's just a man. Somebody said something about he's a man too. So does it make it right? I mean, my baby Ebony, I watched her video earlier, and she made such a good point. And that point was that if he's just a man and he shouldn't receive consequences, what about all those prisoners that have done crimes? They're just men. They're just women. Let them out then. They shouldn't get no consequences. And that should not be the case. There has to be something has to be done. Like us in the community, like we say Black Lives Matter and all these things, and I ain't gonna lie, it seems like a joke half the time, because when those of us try to speak up about real shit that need to be talked about in our communities, we're bashed and we're ran down, and I really don't care about nobody running me down, because you can't. I'm too lifted up. I've been through so much in my life, and once God lifts you up, nobody can tear you down. Like, it's crazy. And I know I've been through some real things where I know it was nobody but God that brought me out of that. So it's like, even this situation, this is just another one of those things that I'm just so happen to be going through it publicly. I usually am a very private person, and you guys didn't know that I was going through all of these things before. Now, I'm the one told it. If I tell it, then that means I can handle what comes with it. I can handle what comes with it. So, I don't like it. It's uncomfortable for me at times. I'm just being real. I'm just being me. I get a lot. It's more people supporting though. More. It's probably 98% people supporting, and it's just that small percentage of people that don't support. And I feel like they don't support because they don't want to see that man, and it's almost like you make that person into a god. And we're not supposed to do that. No man should be above reproach. So that's it, y'all. That's really all I have to say. There's a lot of stories that have been floating out here. I never, when I went to the church, I was too close to him. So when you're really close to him, just to say this, you don't hear the mess. Nobody's going to bring you mess if you're right up close to him. So I never heard about all of these gossips and rumors until after I left. And when I left, I also know that there are some people that, some people lie and make things up too, right? So I'm just saying, I'm just saying that I understand that there are some people that make things up. I understand that there are, you don't want to see somebody that have been a role model. Like, I remember before I came out and said anything, I would cry. I would cry so. I would cry because I was like, I'm fixing to tear up the church. And I love church. I love God. But I'm not a religious person. I have this real relationship with God. I have a real connection with God. So thankfully, having that real connection with God, I was able to hear him give me peace and let me know that I'm not tearing up the church. He tearing up the church. He is, not me. He's tearing up the church, that particular church. Tearing up some people. But there are some good people. Like, when you see the testimonies come out, you like, because some people are like, well, he didn't do that with me. I remember Jade, she said, well, that wasn't my experience. Well, sweetheart, you were not his type. He has a type. He has a type. And then you were grown. Like, I don't know. I think, to me, I would think that, and no, Jade is a beautiful woman. I'm not talking about beauty and looks when I say type. I feel like I need to say that. I'm talking about someone that needs him, or somebody that's in a vulnerable position where almost like a misfit type person. You know, if you're a misfit, if you don't fit in and you need to fit in, he can protect you and bring you in or whatever. Seems like, you know, and you're not a loudmouth person. I was not a loudmouth person. Y'all hear me talking now, but I wasn't that big on like talking out like that, like publicly. But I'm glad that some of y'all have good experiences with him. That's a blessing. And what you need to do is be glorifying the Lord and saying, God, thank you. That's not my story. That was not my experience. What you need to be doing is praying that more victims will speak out and that nothing will hurt those people when they speak out. And what you need to be doing is praying that as the truth comes out, as this unfolds, that there will be a covering over people, that they won't turn away from God. Because my son, my baby, for a long time, many years, he said, I don't want to hear about no God, no church. And he would be adamant and would like, you know, don't talk to me about God. And no, you know, pray, mama, pray. And it would hurt me so much. But now I understand. I understand because now I've learned what happened to him. I know all that I need to know. I'm sure when he gets out, I'll hear more if he wants to tell me. He has a story for him to tell. It's not for me to tell his story, but you know, I had to tell him what was going on out here. I didn't get to tell him. Somebody else told him. So that's why I was trying to make sure I told him, because I knew somebody was going to tell him. But he knows what's going on out here. And initially, he wasn't feeling it. He's like, I don't really want to deal with that. You know, I ain't trying to deal with that. That's too traumatic. So he didn't want to deal with it. But then he wrote a letter. And my baby said, Mama, thank you. He was appreciative. He was so appreciative. He said he was proud of me. And that meant a lot. So, anyways, that's really it, guys, that I just wanted to say. So, who else want to show they dirty draws? Because I just shared mine. And a lot of it, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed of it either. I'm not ashamed of anything. I don't feel pressed, stressed. I have felt heavy. I felt heavy behind certain things that I'm learning, because it's like what? I don't want to hear no more. I don't want to learn no more about this person. And then, like I said, it's not just this person. It's so many people. Like one lady came to me. She said her own dad sexually abused her. And that broke my heart. She's a new friend of mine. Just met her today. But I just want to be a voice, and I just want to, not just specifically for this particular place, because I really want this person to step down until this investigation is over. You don't get to just jump around here and act like what I know you not. No. And I'm going to say something. The gates of hell cannot prevail against the church. You're not going through a Job experience when you've done things to people that are causing you to lose. That's not a Job experience. That's not a Job experience. Hold on, Nora. A Job experience was an experience that God allowed, God ordained. This man did nothing. You did some shit. Your ass been doing shit and hiding your hands. When you do some stuff like that, you get real consequences. Hey, look, as the body of Christ, really all you can say is, y'all, I'm sorry, I messed up. Okay, I did it. And I know the Bible says, confess your faults to God. And he is just to cleanse you of all unrighteousness. So if he does that, then he does that. But you know what? I'm going to say this. As a man that have done things to multiple, like so many people, I just think that a public apology, you're a public figure. You're somebody people have looked up to. And you gotta say, I'm sorry. You gotta, something. Like, just, y'all, I messed up. And get some help. Get yourself some help. Get yourself some real help. And but forgiveness, this is the thing that the church messes up on, this whole forgiveness thing. When people say, baby, you got to forgive him. Don't come in my face. I'm telling you now, if you see me, do not ever. Not with this situation. I'm sorry, I can't, you can't do me like that on this particular situation. Please do not come in my face. Oh no, you got to forgive him. Don't tell me what I already know. Because my dad was a preacher. I was in church. I am the church. Like, I know the word. You're not talking to somebody that don't know the word. Please do not come in my face and say, you got to forgive him. Okay? I'm just, please don't do that. Because it ain't about that. It's about being accountable and dealing with real consequences for your actions. Because you got to. So, I'm just saying. So, you're right, Michael. He has to want to turn from his own sins. And that's not for me to do anything with. But yes, Chaz, at the very least. At the very least, my son wrote a letter. I never mind. Scratch that. I'm not going to go into certain things. But I'm not going to talk about forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. Because I know how to pray. I talk to God every day, all day. About my weaknesses. Because I'm not perfect. I still mess up. just like everybody else. But who ain't sleeping with and messing with no kids is me. Like, man, you messing with babies, innocent teenagers, like preying on people who are not aware, people that are vulnerable, that have not matured mentally, that you know that you can say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, don't hold that against me. You know, it's just something about you. You tell somebody that when they're 16, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna forgive you, okay. Well, you don't realize what that baby does not realize, what they're doing and what they're agreeing to. So it's not fair. It's not fair to do that. So, also I have some friends. One used to be a really close friend, was what I would consider my best friend. And she's out there on a little trip. And her nieces, or her niece, or one of them. And you know, she's saying some things like, you know, wait till the truth is, no, wait till you get all the facts. You know, and I agree. I have to say, you know, I'm not trying to make nobody believe me, make nobody side with me or anything like that. I'm just trying to make somebody aware that if you don't completely believe me, keep a third eye. That's all I'm asking. Can you please just keep a third eye? If you're going to go there, can you please just keep a third eye? Can you please just not let your girls and your sons be alone? Like, at the church, he's everything. He's over everything. And now that I'm outside the church, I don't see the church the same anymore. And it hurts my heart because this place is a place that I remember planning on dying there. I planned on that being the place where my funeral would be. I still love that, the members, the camaraderie that's there, that I always felt was real love. But now I question it and I challenge it, because the way I see it is this. This is what I asked. Excuse me, when I remember when I had, because I still have clients that go there, and some that are in leadership, and I want to talk about that, because before I go, when I said that, when I made my post on Facebook in 2018, and you know, I'm an open book. I swear to God, I'd be like, look, just talk to me. I'm the kind of person, you can talk to me. I'm a hairstylist. Y'all know y'all tell y'all hairstylists everything. We know all the business. And if you was my client, you know your business ain't never got nowhere. I'm loyal to you. You don't have to worry about me putting you out there. That's not me. Unless you a pedophile and you messing with these damn kids. Okay? But anyways, I remember when I made my post on Facebook, and I had to go and I had to talk to particular clients of mine that were still in attendance, that were in leadership, and those that were in attendance at the church that I knew loved the church, you know. And that's the thing. It's like, do you love the church? Do you love the preacher? Or do you love the Lord? Like, it's something missing there. There's this more love for the thing, that building, and the man that you see. It's like you have this love for him, but I have to challenge the love relationship with the Lord. You should never just go sit in front of somebody and let them tell you all they want to tell you. And then you don't go back and check and question what they say. Because if you check and question anything there, he's going to say you have a critical spirit. Right? He's going to say you have a critical spirit, and you can't question things there. Like, we couldn't wear a weave. There's a lot of weird things that I had to look at this place and question as far as my support and say, man, it's just, there's a lot of weird things that do happen there. No earrings, you know, and I'm just talking about leadership. You know, we could not wear, don't you wear weave. Like, there's a lot of overreaching that I learned after I left that I don't agree with anymore, because I think I've grown in some areas and I've learned that those are just not normal things. No preacher should be telling you how to wear your hair and how, you know, like, it just shouldn't. And then we'll put you out of the choir if you got weave in your hair. You get put out the choir if you have earrings on, if you wear makeup, and, you know, just a lot of weird stuff that just don't have nothing to do with the Lord. And he knows that, and what he'll say is, well, that's because on this team, the coach, you know, if you play on a team, the coach has rules, so you gotta obey, or you gotta respect the culture of the team. And on this team, we do it this way. So I don't want weave, and I don't, you know, all that kind of stuff. I don't know what they doing now. I'm just saying when I was there. So it's just a lot of weird stuff, but I don't know. Yeah. That's really it. That's really all I had to say. I'm sitting here rambling and talking to y'all, and I know y'all probably sleepy too. But if you know somebody that is still there, you know, y'all just pray for them. Pray for them. Because I know right now he's probably telling them, discouraging them with what they see, what they hear. Don't watch this. Don't pay attention to this. Focus on this. There are people talking negatively. There are people that are spreading gossip and rumors, and I'm under attack. And there's a spiritual warfare. I know this man, like, I know him. I know how he talks. I know his ways, you know, just like you would know somebody. I know his ways. I know his tactics. Now I can say tactics. So that's it. Tracy said, "That's him, girl." Yes, Tracy. You know that's him. I love you, Snook. I love you so much. I have such good friends now. Like, I have such good friends. I remember when I left the church and lost so many friends because I left. And I remember him I learned that he was telling people not to come to me to get their hair done anymore. He was telling people that. How do I know? Donna, how do you know that he was telling people not to come to you to get their hair done? You know why? Let me tell you. It's called patterns. I'm so much smarter now than I used to be. I've grown up so much. I've matured in so many ways. I hear my stomach growling. But there's something called patterns. And what ended up happening was, all of a sudden, when I got married officially, and I had told him I was, you know, he was real distant. Oh, he was pitiful during that time. But anyways, all of a sudden, I had groups of my clients, a large group of my clients that were in leadership. I lost about maybe 60% of them. All of a sudden, they just up and stopped coming. So I was like, that's just odd. And I said, he done told them to stop coming to me. I wonder, how did he get to them? And so what ended up happening was, the ones that remained ended up telling me, you know, Pastor pulled me to the side and told me that I really should distance myself from you. They start telling me. Because the thing is, what he don't realize is that like the way I saw it was, you think everybody supports you. But there were people that I had that were genuine friends that loved me too. They love him, but they love me too. And so they told him that they didn't want to stop coming or whatever, and that they were going to continue to come, but they knew how to keep a separation there. And you know what? When they kept coming, you know what he did? He demonized them. He demonized them in whatever way he demonized them, because they start telling me their experience of how he handled them. And I just, at that point, it's like you just laugh, because those of us that, and then the sad part about it is those that were in leadership, that you guys that attended, or those of you that remember our faces, it's crazy that the majority of us don't even go to church no more. It's sad. It's sad that the majority don't even go to church anymore because of so much church hurt from this man. I'm drinking tea. Sweet tea. I had this today. It was a cheat day for me. But yeah, a lot of us don't even go to church. It's crazy. It's sad. You talk to them, they'll tell you. But now, I remember that day he was like, Donna, why do people talk so negatively out the church and become so messy when they leave the church? Now I know that it's not that we talk messy about the church. Just in case he watched this video, because, you know, I wouldn't doubt if he would, because I know when I made my post on Facebook in 2018, it was some suspicious activities going on my timeline with a Rickie Rush making like, I was getting notifications that a Rickie Rush made a sad face on this post at 2-something in the morning, which was like the time that he would call me. It just sounded like something he would do. I ain't saying it was him, but it just was something. It was some Rickie Rush-ish type stuff that happened during that time. But yeah, he'll demonize you, and it makes it hard for the people. You have people now that are there, I know, that don't want to be there in the choir. And it's sad. It's sad that they don't want to be there, but they're scared to leave because they're going to feel they're going to be demonized. And you shouldn't be treated like that. It shouldn't be like that. So, I love you too, Mimi. I love you too. Thank y'all for your support. I just want to say thank y'all. And those of you that don't support, it's okay. It's okay. But just do me a favor and just keep a third eye for me. Watch yourself and protect your kids. Ebony. Some of y'all, I don't know, the support. You know, when you have to tell the worst part of, like, you have to air your dirty draws. I remember thinking people were going to demonize me. And I prepared myself for that. I said, oh, well, I started feeling like building myself up. Like, here it's finna come. Like, I'm fixing to get darts thrown at me and knives, and everybody's gonna come at me all kind of ways because I'm fixing to have to say this, but I'm fixing to say it. Oh my God, I remember that. And I remember another part of the problem was that I had just said what happened to my ex. I had just had to get that whole situation going with my ex, so here I am having to do this. And it all happened at the same time because that's just the way it fell. And so, but I didn't get that. I've gotten a lot of support. I've gotten people, making fake pages coming at me. Ain't nobody said nothing on no real pages. Watch yourself. But I'm okay. Ebony, are you okay? I don't know if you're talking to me, but thank you, Joyce. I'm fixing to go get some rest. And Mr. Jones, thank you. I don't know how to pronounce your first name. I always be wanting to say the wrong thing, and I am about to get some rest, but I'm used to I function off a few hours of sleep. I know that probably ain't healthy, but I do. But Sister Lily, I don't know if that's Lily that I know, but hey, I'm just gonna speak to a few of y'all that's still with me. Nana, shout y'all out. Ivan, Brother Dawkins. It's my brother. Katie Bell. Wow, I lost friends too, and this sounds so much like the last church I was at. Wow. It shouldn't happen at no church. I have another friend that, Sister Sheila Rush, I love you too. I have a really close friend of mine that is related to Rickie Rush. And she said the family, they're mad because she's still my friend. We were like best friends in high school. It was me, her, and this one other dear friend of mine. It was the three of us. We used to hang out and stuff. But she said that the family, they're upset with her, because, he's the money man. So the family knows how he is and all this kind of stuff. It's like they know, but they don't want to say anything because he's their money man. But I don't know if that's true or not. That's something I probably shouldn't even say it, so whatever. But I know you got me, Ebony. Ebony said, don't exit, Donna, let's talk. Tracy. Just wanted to say hey to some of y'all. Y'all can go. I'm just speaking to people, seeing who was on here before I go to bed. Love me some all day. Love me some all day. Hey, love me some all day. Love me some all. Let me make sure this. Love me some all day. I don't know. Taronda, Carla. Hey, Carla. Chapon. Love you, Chapon. Michelle. I'm sorry, Michelle, that it has you heartbroken. I don't want anybody to be heartbroken. I don't know. It is heartbreaking. I guess that's just real. It's real. And I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry, Michelle. I thought about people like you that would be heartbroken with me talking about my truth. And I just remember saying, I don't like making people sad. I love beauty. I love fun and laughing and smiles, and that's me. And here I am about to have to talk about some ugly stuff and look negative. I didn't want to do that, but it's necessary, Michelle. It's necessary. This time is necessary. So, I'm sorry. Hey, Shannon. Shannon Smiley. That's one of my buddies from Shannon. I think we went to, where we go to? Atwell together, Royal Thornton. Thank you, Michael. I agree. Sister Lee Bell is watching. Hey, Sister Lee Bell. Michael. I just wanted to speak. Lenora and Marion, Sister Marion. And I'm just speaking to y'all. I'm not talking about anything more. I don't want to hold y'all. We all need to be asleep. I'm talking about sister. Make like I'm at church. Olivia and Danielle. Mitchell. Brian. I love you, Brian. I know Brian. Brian is family. Yep, it's a lot of information. And we went to Skyline together. A lot of my Skyline Raider friends are on here. They remember me from Skyline during those years. During those years. Just speaking. No, a lot of people didn't. Taffeta, thank you for standing with me. That means so much. Tracy, for your support. Janine Tillman, God bless you. Shantae Salters, is that my new friend? I don't remember. I can't. Janine Tillman. I'm just going through these posts. These comments, just wanting to speak to y'all and see who said what, in case I needed to say something. Jermaine Willis, what? He told us she was murdered too. I was there for about 6 years. Yeah. So Jermaine, nope, his mom was not murdered. The Dallas Morning News actually uncovered that. He wrote a few books. I'm hearing that he wrote a few books that even give details where he's talking about how she was murdered and raped and how he stood with a gun when he was 10 years old. So no, she wasn't murdered. She wasn't raped at all. That was a lie. It was another lie. So, I don't know how, that was something. It's something he always would tell at the funerals, how his mom was, murdered. It's crazy now. When I think about this, it's damn. Oh gosh, just have been. I gotta get up in a minute, y'all. It was a lie. But John Guillory, Brenda, bless you. Thank you for watching, Bria. Shan. I don't know. There's probably a lot of them. I probably shouldn't go through all these like this. But anyways, it just says a lot of people watching, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss any comments. Somebody may want to ask me something. Excuse me. I don't know. Somebody wowed Bria's comment and said, I know. Everybody telling me to go to sleep. I can't. I gotta, with my body, I'm gonna tell y'all something. On a hairstylist tip. On my, I work 4 a.m. I take my first appointment at 4 a.m. And I work until I got through. And then I get up and I do it again. And I get up and I do it again. And, just give me some time to rest off in there. I'm good. I don't know, people. Oh, you watching? Somebody messaging me, Kamari, saying I need to rest. I gotta go to sleep when my body tells me to go to sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to go in that bed and I'm just going to be laying in that bed. You know, I'm just going to be up. My eyes going to be open and I'm just going to be up. You know, I just want to make sure I don't leave anything out. Just in case it was something important or somebody felt like they needed to. Y'all was so... Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Just have no clue. Oh, I'm talking too much. Somebody, y'all know how y'all inbox me. I got some of the guys on here that know they was trying to holler at me, and they've been trying to figure out what the hell, why they shots not working. Shooting all these shots and they ain't going nowhere. Yeah, the ultimate betrayal. TJ, that's my big sis, y'all. TJ, I just gotta say this though. Like, so during those years when I graduated, well, before I graduated high school, actually, I worked my senior year, you know, because I had a baby, I had a son to take care of, so I was on the work program at Skyline, and TJ gave me my first job at Learners at Town East Mall. I worked my very first job at Learners it wasn't Learners New York. It eventually turned to Learners New York, but that was my very first job, and that's my big sister, because she was there. She remembers a lot of my story, you know, things that I've said. She remembers these things, and you know, and she would pick me up sometimes to bring me to work, and he would take me to work sometimes, because, you know, I had to work. So it's just something how, anyways, y'all, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and pray for those of us that are taking this stand. Some people call him a powerhouse. Some people call him a giant. They look at him like he's this powerful man. I don't see him like that. I've always known him as Mr. Rush, you know, my teacher. I knew him when he didn't have all the money and the you know, the church and all that. Like, it's kind of like if your dad is a superstar to the world, but to you it's just your dad. So like, he's never been all of that to me. So I don't see him like everybody see him. And you know, somebody was like, "Boy, that money, you know, you just want to talk now because that money ran out, and he ain't trying to give you no money." Let me just say this. Until 2018, when I spoke out, I could have called that man and asked that man for anything, and he would have given it to me. I'm just saying, it wasn't like that. He didn't cut me off. I left the church. I cut him off because I got married and I followed my husband at the time to his church because I wanted to live right. I didn't want to be standing in front of the choir faking and shaking, singing praises while I know that something else had gone on with me and this person. I wanted to do right. I wanted to get it right. So I stopped going to IBOC. I didn't get kicked out the church. I didn't get, you know, I didn't leave on a bad note. And I made sure that I left on a good note when I left IBOC. It was important for me to make sure I still left with some dignity, because I knew that he was the type that would try to demonize you, but he couldn't demonize me because I am a woman of good character. Flaws and all, but I'm a woman of good character. So I wanted to make sure that I left the way he said you're supposed to leave. Because he preached, this is the way you leave the church. So I made sure I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's before I left that church. So I didn't get cut off. Nothing like that. As a matter of fact, just to say this, in 2017, well after I had left the church, I got a call one night by another one of his girlfriends. And like I said, I wasn't dealing with him. I wasn't going to the church or anything like that. But one of his women called herself, calling me. It was well after midnight. I believe it was like December something. And so she decided that she was going to call my phone and ask me, and I'm not going to say her name. And the only reason I'm not going to say her name because her daughter and I, and her daughter's daughter and I are close. So I'm not going to say her name. But she called herself calling me on some, she called me 6 times. That woman called me 6 times. I was asleep. This was during the time that I was homeless. Because see, y'all, like I said, there's other parts of my story. So when I left my ex-husband, I left everything because I was running from that relationship. That was a whole nother story. That's why when I say I wrote a book because it's so much that I've gone through. And it's like a whole lot of stuff that I just want to say because I know it can help somebody. So anyways, but I'm on my son's couch. All my business. Ugh. And I get a call. I look at the phone. I see who it was. I hang up. I mean, I didn't answer it because I'm tired. I'm sleepy. Get the call again. Same person. I haven't talked to this person since I was really at IBOC. So why are they calling me after midnight? I answer the phone. Hello. Did you tell her daughter's name that you slept with Pastor 2? I hung the phone up because it's late. Girl, that was many years ago. Who don't want to talk about that is me. And so I hung the phone up. She called back. Oh, she bold. She called. I hung the phone up. She called back. Hung the phone up. It happened like 6 times. Finally, I got up. My son and his girlfriend, they were still awake. I put the phone on speaker so I could have this conversation. Because I said, let me go ahead and because see, this person, this is me, the way I was feeling. I'm feeling like this person must think that I'm still that Sister Donna that was, clapping and all this just, on the front row, not saying nothing, and people run over me this way, whatever, maybe. Maybe she think I'm just weak like this. She calling me to ask me about somebody that asked me about my sexual encounters with somebody that you not married to. So I said, let me go ahead and answer. I answered the phone. Yes, hello. And she says, yes, I was calling you. Now this is somebody, we were friends, me and her. Me and her were really good friends. She was one of the picks too. We were 2 of the few that he would, we go out of town and pay for dinner and we go sit up at Cowboys games, all the games and all that stuff. We were doing that. He was paying for all this stuff. So she asked me, so did you tell such and such that you sleeping with Pastor 2? So I said, yeah. Yes, I did. What is it to you? I mean, because you're not Beverly. So why would you need to know if I slept with him too. And so she was like, I'm gonna call him and I'm gonna let him know. I can't believe that you said that to her. And so the phone's on speaker because she got a whole household full of people. I didn't know this, but come to find out, she had a whole household full of people and the phone's on speaker. And she's like, well, I'm gonna call him and I'm gonna let him know. And I said, well, call him. You can call him now. Because see, now I'm irritated because I was irritated because I got all this stuff I'm going through with my husband at the time. And somebody from 5-10 years ago plus probably called me on some bull talking about this nigga. Excuse me, but you know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, no, she didn't. You not, you know. And so she called him. She called him. She calls him. His voicemail picked up. She left a message and she explained that I'm just calling you because I have such and such I have Sister Donna on the phone and she told Courtney that she's sleeping with you too and da-da-da-da-da, and she's going and explaining all this kind of stuff to him. Hangs the phone up and she's like, and I just can't believe you would say some lies like that or whatever. And I said, well, do you want me to call him? Because if I call him, he's going to answer the phone. Because, see, he'll answer the phone if I call. And so she's, you know, she's going through whatever she's saying with them in the background. They're getting into it or whatever. And so, you know, she hangs up. And then now I'm up. So I called a friend and I had to tell her to gossip. Girl, let me just tell you, such and such called, and this what was said, and girl, this ain't, you know, we just talking. And of course, I said, well, you know he gonna call me in a minute. Click. As soon as I said that, here he go calling me. I see the phone number calling in, so I screenshot that phone call coming in, and I sent that screenshot to my friend so she could see that he was calling. I said, I told you he called me. She said, girl, answer, call me back. So I went on answered. Donna, you know, I am so sorry. How you doing? I said, no, your side hoe don't need to get to call me this late. And I'm just going off because he ain't never heard me talk like this. Because now I'm irritated. And I'm like, how your side hoe gonna get to call me and ask me about something that happened between me and you back in the day and she ain't Beverly and how, you know, I'm just going on and on and on. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Donna. I'm so that should never have happened. As a matter of fact, here he go lying. As a matter of fact, and yeah, those text messages and all that, I still have that. But anyways, he going on and on, lying to me, talking about this woman, talking about she's not going to remember anything she's saying. She's just talking because she's full of medicine, and she went to the doctor and earlier, and they gave her some medicine. She's just hallucinating. I said, I don't care what she's doing. She don't need to be calling me at this hour saying anything about, asking me anything about what me and you did. That was our business. And, you know, I'm just talking to him like that. So he's asking me, well, how, you know, do you need anything? I don't want nothing. I don't need nothing. And I'm irritated. So I don't know. I don't want nothing. Well, how are the boys? How is 7-Up okay? Everybody's okay. 7-Up is good. Because he always knew that he could try to do something to try to, you know, just want to do something. No, you're not going to do nothing. No. Bye. I hung the phone up because I was irritated. And when I did that, I called my friend back. And, of course, I'm talking to her, telling her, you know. And so while I'm talking to her, this particular lady group texts me, her, and him in this group text and says some bull crap like, you know, and I'm just being messy right now, y'all. This ain't even about no abuse. This just telling you how it is when it's just what's done in the dark gonna come to the light. Like, this is just some real stuff. But she group texted us, sent us a message telling him, well, I just want to let you know why I called you was because, and she explained all these different things about why she called and had me on the phone. And so after she sent the message, I responded to the message and I told her, oh, you didn't have to send that message because I just hung up with him. I told you that he was going to call me. You didn't have to call. Like, you didn't have to put a group text. I've already talked with him. So when I push send, here you go calling me, because what he wanted to do was probably try to, Donna, don't say this, because now I'm messing something up with what you got going on with her still, and I ain't there. I'm not a part of that. I didn't want to be a part of it, but you deal with your mess. So I didn't answer. But that's just how I think about that situation. I think about that particular sister and how he may have been lying, talking about she was just full of medicine. There he is lying the same stuff he told me about my sister when he lied to me about her and said she was mental. And then he's saying this particular sister. It's the same pattern. So it's just crazy, how I've had to come to grips with who this person is, and I never saw this person as my abuser. So those that are still at the church and they're saying, how are you able to call that man? You claim he was your abuser, but here you are on this picture with an IBOC t-shirt on with your arm around his back. Well, what you should do when you see that picture, what you should look at on that picture, for those of you who may have already saw it, but you need to ask yourself, why would he be allowing this woman to have her arm around his back, shoulder, whatever, and be up on him like that? And he's a married preacher. That's what you should be asking. Instead of asking, or questioning me, and my pastor had his hand in his pocket. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but I never denied that I went to IBOC. I love the church. I went to the church and I supported it proudly for many, many years. Okay? And so, I just wanted to address that picture, though. Every time I think about David Thomas and that picture, Lenora, I think about him like he was trying to say that, I don't know what he was trying to say. They just said the guy told me that David was saying that my story contradicted itself because that picture proved that I was a member at IBOC and that my arm was around him. And I was smiling. Okay, why was he smiling, or why was he cool with this woman who was not his wife up on him like that? These are things, I can tell you what to look for, and I can tell you the questions to ask. Because you're making him look worse. Because clearly, you put in a picture, why you think you hurting my feelings? You really annoying me, because I really don't want to be seen on a picture with a man that I now know abused people I love as well as myself, and is just out here abusing people. I'm ashamed of being associated with somebody like that now. Hell. So I don't really care to be on the damn picture with him. So I'm like, take this shit down. Please. I asked nicely. I know how to make you take it down. I know how to get something done to make you take it down. But I just thought I'd come to you and say, can you please take the picture down? You don't want to take the picture down because you call yourself being smart. So now I want to come on here and I want to be a little smart about the picture. I'm finna go to bed because I'm finna go to bed, y'all. Good night. God bless you guys. And that's all.